Are you a sex worker looking to build a new website or a website redesign? Then you'll want to consider Fox Digital. They did a fantastic job designing my website, Stripped by Ciara. If you want your website done, mention that you're a listener of the show at foxdigital.design for 20% off. Tell them I sent ya. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Stripped by Ciara, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people in between. I'm your host, Steph Ciara, aka Kimchi on stage. I don't know when I'm going to be on stage because that's the whole thing. But anyways, I just don't know when I'm going to be back on stage. I've been enjoying my little summer off, but you can find me online because I am a digital content creator and also a cam model. You can find me on Streammate under the name Cia on camera, and you can find my OnlyFans online somewhere if you're really interested in that. But I was also a former sugar baby, been in this industry for about a decade or so. It's been a while, and I have decided to do this show about 4 years ago because I believe in destigmatizing sex work because our work is highly stigmatized and judged, and people make assumptions about our lives and our profession. And I kind of do the show to show you what it's really like by bringing on different guests on the show every single week to speak about their corner of the industry and also to talk about what it really is like in their respective corner of the industry. So I do this because I really believe in humanizing sex workers and to basically deprive a really educational approach to what it is that we do. So if it's your first time listening in here, that's what the show is about. It's every single week, released on Sundays. And this week, I'm really excited to bring on a guest that I personally know. I mean, eventually I do get to know everyone. Everyone does become my friend eventually, but this is a person I know from real life, like in person, IRL, and I'm really stoked to bring her on. But of course, I have to kind of go through my spiel of things, thank all the people I need to thank, including my wonderful Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your patience. Especially this summer while I've been ramping up my equipment and just really trying to ramp up everything and upgrade the show as much as I can, including this new mic, including this new ring light. Thank you so much, Period Podcast Network, for sending those over to me. Super appreciate you guys. But yes, back to you Patreon subscribers. You guys help financially support the show because it is a show that I do for free because I believe that information should be accessible to all. I do not gatekeep here. It's not my thing. It's not my jam. But Patreon subscribers do get video exclusive access, including the ones to this awesome episode, including all others on the show. You get access to the episodes early on before anyone else. And I just want to say hello to those who are on the top tier of my Patreon. So there is Snoo all the way from Germany. We've got Jay Sunsern here in Canada, Justin Erickson, also from the United States, Ted McGuire, Geyser. We've got Selena Money. We've got Moxie Mayhem, Eric Arajo, welcoming B York, fellow content creator. Her episode was out just a couple of weeks ago. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you are in the top tier, you do get a little fan recognition shout out. But there's also lots of really great perks that are on there as well. So if you're interested, it is patreon.com/strippedbycia. Go check it out. There's tiers starting as low as $4 a month, but that's up to your discretion. Feel free to check it out. And of course, I have to thank people on the network, Skyhawk After Dark TV. It is a network of adult industry related podcasts, some video casts as well, which are very similar to the shows the show that I produce here, Stripped by Ciara. So if you are interested in educating yourself and listening to other like-minded creators, feel free to check it out. It's skyhawkafterdarktv.com. And last but not least, your Patreon dollars are helping fund my website, which is strippedbycia.com. And that was lovingly made by a friend of mine as well, Anthony Joe, who is the founder of Fox Digital, who helps sex workers create websites, especially if you are just starting out or maybe you need a new rebuild on your website. Anthony is your go-to person, and he is offering 20% off for all Stripped by Ciara listeners. So feel free to go check him out. It's foxdigital.design, and tell him I sent you to get that 20% off. managing to get this under 5 minutes, which is a goal of mine, and that's 3 minutes and 38 seconds. So yay, hooray for me. If you hear some clapping, you're hearing a lovely, sexy voice in the background. That is our guest today, and I'm so excited to bring her on. Her name is Ciara. She is a wonderfully talented, multi-award-winning feature dancer in North America, has attributed a lot of amazing titles, including Best Show, Most Entertaining, First Runner-Up for Newcomer of the Year, for Miss Exotic USA, and so many more. I'm sure she can list them out herself, but really excited to get her on the show. Finally, we've known each other for years, and we are going to be talking about featuring. We're talking about touring in terms of being a stripper, being like a feature exotic dancer, competitions in the States and in Canada, what it's like to date, tour. What does she have any like self-care routine when she's like not on the road like today? All of those questions, because it's a very, very busy and demanding life. And I have watched her grow since, I don't know, but I don't think it was day one, but like since both of our baby pole days back in the day. So it's really exciting to just watch her journey and just watch her win all these titles and be a fucking boss. So enough of me talking. Hello, Ciara.
Oh my God, what an intro. I'm like, meh. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, no, we did meet a long time ago. I think I started going to Tantra in 2016.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was I think it was the Mount Pleasant studio. I think I met you at the first time, and then we did some classes and stuff. And I remember I always used to watch you and be like, but yeah, so it's really fun to be able to sit down and talk to you about all the things that I love and I am passionate about. Yeah, some of my titles end up from either Winnipeg or down in the United States. So I have got best costume, most entertaining show. Got newcomer of the year, runner twice. I got second runner up for Miss Nude Winnipeg, best fire show, best breasts, Miss Nude Brunette World. um, and then I just got my most recent title was from the Exotic Dancer Invitationals, and that was Hottest Body.
Woo!
So I was like,
Hell
so
yeah.
yeah, so I'm glad we got to plan some time together while I had some time off before I leave on Monday to go to the United States all over again.
Do it
Do
all
that,
over
but
again.
yep.
So exciting. And also, I mean, speaking back to our baby pole days and baby tantra days, Mallory says hello and that she's super proud of you for how far you've come. She just wanted me to tell you that.
It was so fun. It was funny because I was gonna actually shoot her a message on Instagram today, being like, "Look what I did!" Because I somehow got my ass into a leg hang, and I was like with no hands, and I struggle with inversions because I fell off the pole once, so it's like I've been working really hard on trying to get them back, and I think doing aerial hoop has really like given me my confidence.
Confidence.
But it was like I did a couple things yesterday at Tantra, and that was the first studio I ever went to was the Gastown one, and that's where I met Valerie, and she was the
Yes.
person that I trained with privately. So I was gonna message her and be like, "Look what I can do."
She's super,
She's
super
always been
proud of
super sweet.
you. And I'm also super proud of you too, because I've just been loving to watch your journey and watching you grow. It's been so exciting. But why don't we kind of like start at the very beginning in terms of like, how did you guys start in the industry? How did you get here? Everyone in the audience is always like really curious about like, how did you get started? Like, how did you end up here? Let's start from there.
I guess for me, it's like I have a long history with sex work, all different varieties of sex work. And I guess I had just always wanted to be a dancer, but I never really had the confidence. And at the time, I needed some reconstructive work done. So when I ended up getting my reconstructive work done in I think 2016, instantly I was like, I'm gonna be a stripper now. So once I kind of like got the clearance, I took a open pole class at Tantra, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember leaving crying and being like, I suck at this. I'm never gonna be a stripper. It's a and then I pushed myself and I kept pushing myself to keep going to the classes, and yeah, I'd push myself to go to the open studio, and just kind of like work on things. And then eventually I finally had the balls to do one of the tantra penthouse amateur contest. One of the ones that I ended up becoming a stripper off is the one we did together.
Oh my God,
I think you
memories.
ended up winning that one or coming second or something like that.
Potentially. I did so many of those.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't even remember.
um, yeah, so I started dancing, and instantly when I started dancing, I was instantly traveling. So it's just kind of been, I think, since about 2017. I've been traveling and dancing, and then I've been featuring since October of 2021. I think that was my
Hmm.
first feature booking. So yeah.
Yay. And then you've obviously been able to not just travel within BC, because I know I've spoken about this on the show too, but it's a little bit different in BC and in the West Coast. We have our own structure, which is very interesting. But also, just to give people like a little heads up too, like, um, yes, lots of people are strippers. There's a lot of people that VIP or give lap dances and do drop-ins, but then there's dancers that get paid to be there to dance on stage as well, which is what featuring is. But yeah, you've gotten all over across Canada, and then now all over across the states, which is crazy and amazing. Because I mean, I've seen your shows, and they're wild. they're just, they're
So
just
thank
wild. Your Marge Simpson one is probably my favorite one. It's just amazing. It's so freaking cool.
little Marge is sitting up in the corner. She says hi. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So cool. I mean, when it comes to competing, because I know there are a lot of people that are listening that are strippers and are like, well, first of all, some people don't even know about stripper competitions at all. Like, maybe we can kind of start off there in terms of like, what is a stripper competition, and can anyone compete? Like, how does that work, and questions like that.
So and I'll always say, like, this is from my point of view. This is my opinion. Not everyone may agree, or they may have their own kind of like view on things. But stripper competitions are usually held by the agencies or the clubs themselves. And basically, yeah, sure, anyone can enter them. I know the Alberta agency has a handful of them throughout all of Alberta. Winnipeg has a couple of them. I believe Thunder Bay is wanting to come out with one. Ottawa, the Newton had one last year. So basically, like, they'll post who wants to enter, or they'll call you and be like, "Hey, I'm doing a competition. Do you want to do it? Do you want to participate?" And then you just kind of yes or no. And usually the Winnipeg agency kind of has a little bit less of a time frame. They'll just call you and be like, competitions in 2 weeks. Get ready. And I'm like, okay. I usually know the time frame of when the competitions happen, so I always just kind of like stay a little bit prepared. But yeah, even when I was a baby dancer, when British Columbia used to do the competitions, um, I was dancing for like not even 6 months. And I remember the agent at the time, Ryan, was like,
Yeah.
"You're in." And I did Battle of the Champions. And I'm like, I'm not no champion of nothing. Like, what? Um, so it was, and like, sometimes it's like filler people. They just need people
Hmm.
to go up. But basically, like, a competition show is you want to bring your best, biggest, brightest show. You want to bring everything that you can do on stage and showcase yourself.
Hmm.
So people will either do themes or like the generic shows, but add water or foam or paint. I predominantly work with fire. I also have like those fiber optic whips and like these pixel picture things that I can upload and put my own pictures and stuff on them. So yeah, typically it's like it'll be anywhere, depending where you're doing the competition, a 9 through an 18-minute show. And yeah, you just gotta bring it.
Yeah, you really got to bring it. And I've seen some shit because I was also in that. Yeah, back when BC used to have competitions back in the day, I did like one, and I saw like, everything from glitter. Everyone's doing glitter that year. Lots of glitter, like confetti type things that really mess up the stage,
Yeah,
and
so much
blood, and
confetti.
so much confetti. I'm like, everyone's doing the same thing, including me. I did the same thing. But yeah, like, it's people really ramp it up, and I'm always so amazed at how creative people can get. And like themes that you wouldn't think of, like even your Marge Simpson one. Like, it's just like, wow, it's just amazing because people can resonate with that and people find it funny and really cool and just yeah, you really really got to bring your A game to the table to really stand out because yeah, there's a lot of like generic-y type things and there's nothing wrong with that, but you learn, you get inspired by other dancers and other people's shows as well, and you're like, oh, we can go that far.
And I'm forever getting inspired by people's shows, and I'm forever watching other girls. I try, if I'm competing that night, I try not to watch other people's shows because I'm like, I don't need to
Mm.
get in my head. But I always try and like watch all the girls' shows and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, you can do that? I didn't even think of that. Like, wow. There's always just it's so much growing, and I remember thinking back in like 2018, I think that's when I did those BC competitions. Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna do so well. I'm gonna do so great. And so I'm glad that I've like spent the time in the years like watching people and watching their shows, so I could be able to create my own shows.
Mhm.
And I'm forever building shows and forever working on them and fixing the music and tweaking this and tweaking that.
Yeah, constantly a work in progress because, like, and of course, like, if we didn't define this earlier, this is very, very different than an amateur night. This is not an amateur night at all. These are seasoned professionals, or sometimes if you're brand new, like, there's also newcomer of the year, newbie of the year, and stuff like that too. If you're just getting into it, but speaking of just getting into it, like, how did you get started? Like, was it BC was your first one, and then you kind of moved over to Alberta,
Yeah, so
Winnipeg?
British, yeah, Yeah, so British Columbia was like the first place that I did a competition, and I had remember seeing posters of like because I idolized Justice and Janine Jericho. So it's like I remember
Yes.
back in the day, like seeing their posters about going like to Jamaica and like doing nudes of poppin' and all this stuff, and like their everyone's little faces were on these little posters, and I remember being like, I want to be there. I want to do this. Like, I want to be that person kind of thing. And like I said, when I did my first two competitions out in BC, I thought I knew what I was doing. And I remember crying my eyes out because I didn't even make it to finals. My girlfriend sat me down and she looked at me and she's like, girl, she's like, you're a very new dancer. She's like, don't like, this isn't a feature show. She's like, it's a cute show. She's like, but you need to get time to establish yourself and figure yourself out. She's like, take the time. And I was just like, I just want it. Cause I used to want things instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work for it.
Yes.
So between, I guess, 2018 and 2022, I had in the back of my mind that this is what I was going to do. I wanted to compete. I wanted to feature. I wanted to be on those posters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm stubborn. I'm not gonna not do what I set my mind to. Um, so I predominantly started working in Winnipeg in late 2018, and then 2019 I wasn't in the position to do a competition, so I opted out. 2020, COVID happened, so I think they had a competition, but it was girls who were already in Winnipeg because it was just like
Mm.
COVID
Yeah,
kind of thing.
pretty much.
And then the world shut down. So 2022 was the first one that I was actually able to do, and then that was Miss Nude Winnipeg at the Club Lipsticks, and that's when I brought out my Marge show for the first time.
Was it that? Oh
And
my gosh! Wow.
yeah, yeah, and I could, and when I had gotten my boobs redone, I had instantly in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, gonna get specific feature costumes made. We're gonna do competitions. This is the route we're going. So I was already like at that time super confident in that show because I'd just been working on it and building it and then taking it to feature in Thunder Bay. And I ended up getting most entertaining show. And I was so happy. And I was like, oh my God, my first title. People like me. Yay. And
People
then I
like
did,
me.
yeah, and then a month later, I did Miss Nude Manitoba, which is at Teasers. Everything that could have gone wrong with that show did. Like, I come out and it's like the quintessential Simpsons music, but then it turns dubstep, and then the music just stopped. And then
Oh
the
no.
DJ's like looking at me, and I'm like, my music, like, what are we doing? And
Yeah.
then he restarted it,
Oh my god.
but my wig's already off, my bra's already off. So I'm just sitting there like, trying to you know, and I learned from that experience, you just got to keep going because no one knows that anything's wrong but you.
Yep,
And I did
exactly.
not make it to finals. I cried. I was so
Oh.
sad. And that was like next year. And then I had done Miss Nude World in Tampa Bay, Florida at Deja Vu Club. And I came first runner up for Newcomer of the Year. And I was like, okay, this is the year I'm really going to amp it up. And this is the year that I'm like going to start placing. So
Mm-hmm.
then I ended up doing Miss Nude Winnipeg again. And that's when I got second runner up.
Whew.
So I was just super happy. I was just like, oh my God, I actually placed and I got a fucking trophy. And I was just like, oh my God. Um, so I was riding on that high and I was like, yeah, exotic dancer invitationals is going to be freaking amazing. And then I drew number one and I was like, oh crap. Because it's like, not only it's a huge event, but I'm the first girl performing in front of everyone at a huge event, at a huge competition. And I'm like, it's okay. You got this. And
Intense.
I get out and my show's going and everything's great. And then I eat shit.
What? I did not know
Yeah.
that. Oh my
Yeah. So
god.
right before they had like free, because in the States, it's just like freelancers. They don't have stage girls, but then they put the freelancers up on stage. So I think maybe one or two of them had a lotion
Of course they did.
that wasn't really vibing with the pole or the floor.
No.
So it's like I walked out, I like stood in front of the crowd, I went to walk and then take a step, and I just went,
No.
and then I got up and I just kept going. I didn't
Yeah,
even
you have to.
acknowledge the pole. I just kept going, and then like my little pixel things, they didn't sync up.
Oh
So
my
one's holding
god.
one image, one's holding the other image. I'm sitting there like trying not to die on the inside. I'm trying to still have my pageant smile, like deep
God.
down, I'm like, fucking kill me
It's
now.
like
Like this is
you're like
so.
cringe.
So yeah, it's just like I worked hard over the years on kind of like progressing myself as a dancer with the intention that competing was going to be what I was going to end up doing. I've honestly never been invited to a competition by independent, so I've
Mm-hmm.
never competed out in
In
Alberta.
Alberta.
Those
Right.
girls, those girls are amazing. Like I would love to get a call and be like, "Hey Siri, you want to come?" I'll be like, "Fuck yeah!" Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Dang.
it
I
is
mean,
what it is.
it's okay. You're in the States, which is even bigger and
Yeah,
better and better. And we'll get to that too. But let's rewind a little bit too, because I have so many questions. Um,
yeah.
you had the intent to compete, and I'm really glad that you said that because you really have to have that commitment, not just when you are a dancer, but also when you're wanting to compete because it is a huge commitment in terms of like time spent, money spent on your costumes and everything. Can we talk about that a little bit, and if you're able to kind of do a ballpark estimate for those folks because I love transparency, but if you don't feel like putting numbers to
So no,
things.
no, no, no. I'll be fully no, no, no. I'll be fully transparent. The first couple years of featuring and competing, you're going to be broke. You're going to be freaking broke, and it's like I'm not saying I'm broke. I got money, but it's not like 2 months in Mexico money anymore because my main focus is either training, more props, more costumes. My costumes can cost anywhere from 800 to 1500 to even more expensive, just depending what I get, the material, how many pieces. And that's the one thing that I collectively see a lot of dancers, even the United States girls, when people ask in Facebook groups, like, oh, how do I become a feature? This first thing they always say is be prepared to be broke. Be prepared for all your money to go towards that.
Yes.
So basically my first year, so 2022, that was my year of buying props and buying costumes and trying to gather everything that I could so I had stuff to do these shows with. 2023, I was like, okay, this is my year to kick ass and train.
Yep.
So within the last year, I've done too many competitions that it's like they all just kind of like mesh together. I do a competition next week down in the States again. Surprise! Um, and that's September 14th. I know this is airing in October.
That's
But
good.
this is my year where I'm like, okay, I'm only doing specific competitions and the ones that are pretty much like invite only. Like I'll still do my Winnipeg ones because I work out in Winnipeg all the time.
Yeah.
But next year, I have the exotic dancer invitationals already set aside, and then I was invited to do stripper Olympics at Michael's Men's Club in Louisiana. So
Fun.
they wanted me to do it this year, and I was like, nah, I can't do it this year. So I'm doing it next year. And,
Nice.
so I'm trying more now to take the shows that I have, and they're never going to be perfect, but get them as perfect as I want them to be so I
Mm-hmm.
can bring them and literally just bring it. Because
Yeah.
now I'm determined to freaking win Winnipeg. I'm determined.
I love that.
Mark my
That's
words.
it's a good
Mark my
motivation.
words.
Talking about like, because you're talking about like, yeah, we're all in these Facebook groups and stuff too, but like, there's a lot of new people asking for advice and stuff too. Like, were you also in that position where you were asking for advice, and did you have anyone to look up to as well? Like, do you have any mentors or people that you like sought out specifically? You mentioned Justice, who's also from Vancouver, and Janine
Yeah.
Butterfly is like iconic.
So yeah, actually, Justice and Janine are like two of my biggest mentors. But when I got into this, and I know I said this, I always like bring this up because it's so funny, especially because I'm sharing a hotel room with her next week.
Oh, okay.
It was, yeah, freaking. Remember how Tantra does their pole dance thing at Taboo?
Yes.
So I did that, and I think that was like in 2017 when I just started. And I guess Justice was one of the judges. And
Oh my
I love
gosh.
Justice because I was a strip club rat when I was a kid. Well, not a kid, but like 19 and stuff.
Yes.
Like I would go into
Your
Brandy's
baby.
all the time. And
Yes.
I thought she was phenomenal. And I was obsessed with her. She was like the one dancer. I just was like, ah, I have to see her. So I remember she was walking away, and I was running up towards her, and I was like, "Hey, Justice," and I was like, "Any advice for like a new and an inspiring dancer kind of thing?" And she's like, "You know what?" She's like, "I could see you have it in you." She's like, "I can see that spark in you." She's like, "But you need to figure out now if you want to be an everyday dancer that just shakes her ass and twerks." She's like, "Which is fine." She's like, "Or if you want to be a feature." She's like, "And if you want to be a feature," she's like, "figure out what you're good at." She's like, "Perfect it, go with it." And then I was just kind of
Yes.
like, I'm going to be a feature. So I went into even my first booking with that mentality and that confidence of, I'm a feature. This is what we're going to do. This is, do big shows, do high, faster paced shows, because I used to go to Brandy's all the time. Brandy's was like the club I loved because they
Yes.
did those big shows. So when
Yeah.
I did start dancing, I already kind of like, I was like, okay, we'll do the paint and the canvases. And, I already had those things kind of like in my back pocket because I've watched all these other girls do them for so long. So, and then right now, both Justice and Janine are being very amazing to me and very hands on. Justice invited me. She's hosting her first competition over at Candy's Playground, September 14th through 16th. And that is called Clash the Titans, Battle of the Champions. And then that is for all the largest up and coming features and adult entertainers. And it's pretty much just a showcase between not only features, but porn stars are there and stuff too. And it's just going to be like a really awesome girls' week of, you know, hanging out with your friends. And then I just found out I was sharing a room with Justice, and I was like, it's all coming full
Yay.
circle. It's all coming full circle. So,
That's amazing.
I'm really excited, but I'm also like freaking out because it's like anytime I have a competition, I'm like, oh God, it's coming up.
The
Got to
anxiety,
cross
I'm
the border.
sure. And
Yeah.
that too. I mean, well, let's talk about okay, so as a Canadian, how did
Mhm.
you start dancing in the States? And was that by invitation, or how does that work? because I know like I haven't had an episode like about competitions in a long time since I had like Cassius Shay on the show, and also like Nia Nebula, and this is like back in like
Mhm.
season 1, so it's been a long time. But if you
Yeah.
want to like brief us on your personal journey of how you broke into the American market, we would love to hear that.
Well, yeah, it's funny that you brought her up. Nia Nebula was one of the biggest reasons. She was already down in the States, and she had like she's got a couple years of competing and featuring on me because I didn't start dancing until like later in life, which is fine. But she would always just like bug me, and she would like come down stage. She's like, do competitions in the States. She's like, Canadians clear house down here. She's like, we do well down here. She's like, come down here. And at that time, like I wasn't ready. I wasn't mentally ready. But when I had made that intention and that my goal, and I started getting my costumes, and I started like pretty much recreating myself with it within the since 2021 kind of thing. She just ended up putting me into connections with the pageant series, and the pageant series, Gracie Darcio, I can never pronounce her last name. She does like she does all like the Miss Nudes and the Miss Exotics and Miss Exotic World and all of those competitions. So I started going down and doing competitions with her. I went to um, the ED Expo last year, so it's pretty much like a gentleman's expo, but then they have features come, and it's all the American features, and then they also do a little, Gracie does her little showcase. So within getting there and doing her showcase and I think that's when I got my first tiara and first runner-up for newcomer of the year. And then that caught, and because I did my Simpsons show in Vegas at Larry Flint's Hustler Club.
Iconic.
I got messages from Mr. Chris K being like, and he's one of the main editors and publicists for Exotic Dancer Publications.
Right.
And he's like, I heard you did an awesome Simpsons show. And he's like, I think you would be perfect for the newcomer division for EDIs. He's like, let me know if you're interested. That right there, I bawled my eyes out. Because I like EDIs is one of like the most prestigious competitions out there. It's huge. Everything that ED Publications does is huge. Everything they do for me is huge, and I love them.
It's a big deal. You're a big deal.
It is. But yeah, so I ended up going and shit in the bed, but it's okay because everyone still loved me, and they all still loved my show, even though I face planted and everything went wrong. So I'm excited to do it better this year because I needed redemption, and like I was gonna bring my Ninja Turtle show to Candies
also
for Clash of the Titans, and then I was like, you know what? I'm not having a redo of EDIs. I'm like, I'm gonna bring my strong show, which is my pimp show. That's what got me first runner-up newcomer of the year, second runner-up Miss Nude Winnipeg. So I decided to ship that one down because that show is already fully created, and all I had to do was just add to it.
Right.
So because I've been training and I have been practicing, I've been able to add a Lyra section to my whole routine.
Nice.
Yeah, so now I'm excited. I'm excited because I'll be able to have my classic show, which is also predominantly a huge fire show.
Fuck yeah.
But now I get to add Lyra to it.
Amazing.
So I'm super, super excited for this performance. I'm just hoping everything goes off the way I want.
Fingers crossed.
Well,
I hope there's going to be some videos from that because I would love to see that.
Yeah, where I'm actually getting professional. We have a videographers coming. She's like, we got a lot of celebrities coming, celebrity judges. They got this old man named George Kane who does Hugh Hefner. It's like he comes. I think Sassy Cassie, who's like 2.5 inches, like this big. Sassy Cassie's coming apparently. So it's
fun.
Yeah, so it's gonna be exciting.
Good to look forward to. And I mean, we're not talking about celebrity judges, but like in terms of judging, what are the judges looking for, and what makes up that kind of criteria that can win you a title? As you bring out your scoring sheet.
Well, So I'll say first and foremost, the Exotic Dancer Invitationals is the most transparent competition I have ever been in. I have been in competitions where I have never seen my scores, and the scores are destroyed, and people win, and it is what it is.
Ugh,
I've
probably the
had
worst.
competitions. Yeah, I've had competitions where I've had to beg to see my score sheet.
Oh my
So
gosh.
like I personally know where to improve. That's why I just want to see them. But it's like with the Exotic Dancer Invitationals, I walked off stage and they're like, here,
Wow.
and I was like,
You're like,
so
all right.
there's no political, kind of, so it's really nice. So a lot of the things that like the judges overall look for would be like appearance. So obviously, do we have our hair done or makeup done? How do we look? Are we put together? Costume and theme. So like, does your music match your theme? Like, am I doing a Turtle show and then just dancing to Meg the Stallion? Or do I have something that's actually created to that? Um, and then like overall on stage presence, everyone's going to have their own uh, on stage presence, but they're looking for, are you attention grabbing? Do you have confidence? Like, are you coming out there and looking like shy and meek, or are you going out there and kicking ass? And then just like overall performance. So it's like, are you the whole package? Do you like everything else? Like, does your appearance, costume, and stage presence, are they all one thing? And are you just blowing them away? And then usually in the competitions that I've been in, there's the mini titles as well. And
Okay.
there's not really much criteria for mini titles. It's just usually what someone scores highest overall on. They'll have like a little section at the bottom. Same thing with the Winnipeg competitions as well. But
Hmm.
it's most original show, best dancer, audience favorite, hottest body, best costume. It's stuff like that. Every competitions they're a little bit different with them. Their mini titles. I know Gracie has a lot more individualized mini titles, like when I won like best fire show and stuff like that. Like, you're not going to get that with EDI, and you're not going to get that in Winnipeg, and
Right.
I don't think you're going to get that in Alberta. So it's just
Right.
all different to where you go, but overall that is pretty much a universal judging sheet on what judges are to be looking for in every competition, no matter where I've gone.
Good to know. Yeah, because sometimes like when you, especially when you're not getting that criteria back, and you're like, I feel like that's so wrong. Like, 'cause especially when you want to improve, you want to get that feedback, and also just for just overall transparency to be like, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
what the hell? Like, who's making these scores
I
up?
mean,
Like,
yeah, and I mean, sometimes it sucks because it's like with featuring and with competitions, you have to be really open to constructive criticism. And like sometimes people aren't going to like your shows, and like that's totally fine. Like but you have to understand that it's not you. It's not you personally. It is the performance. And that's why there's always room to grow.
always. Yeah, that's so very true. I'm also throwing this random question out to you as well, because this is just something that I observed from posters, and this is just me, and also because I believe in just different layers in this conversation. But my observation was that a lot of these competitions are very white. Is that something that you've also witnessed as well? Or is that just because maybe like most competitors in the states that are going for these
There,
titles happen to
there,
be white?
I can, I feel like maybe they're not showcased on posters as much, but there definitely is a diverse ethnicity down in the United States competitions. Um, I feel that they have either phased out, don't want to compete this year. But I know when I was in for Miss Nude World down in Tampa Bay, there was definitely a diverse crowd of girls. Um,
Awesome to
I
hear.
know how it could. I know it could look like such because some competitions have had a primarily white based competitor group, but that's just based off of who got invited, who wanted to go. Because it's not like they cherry pick and they're like, hey. They make a post, like, they'll make a post and be like, we are doing a competition X, Y, and Z. Do you want to compete? And then girls will comment. So I don't think they're cherry picking it for
No.
a malicious way. I just think it's the girls who do have the intentions of doing the competitions.
Hmm.
Just,
And I think it's just like with the strip industry in general. Like myself as an Asian person, I don't see a lot of me. Like I don't see a lot of us out there. And I think that's just a trend of how this part of the industry is. And of course, in the wider sex worker community, there are a lot of us that are doms, there are a lot of us that are cam models, there are a lot of us that do other things and stuff like that. So not trying to single out the strip industry at all, but just my own observation. That's just, I guess, people that are find themselves
like
competing.
one girl, she's blows my mind, Charzane. I always see on her posters the Puerto Rican powerhouse, and she's
Love it.
insanity. But like I could list like so many amazing like United States features that aren't white. But yeah, I can see where that question would stem from.
Yeah, no,
And yeah, you're right. It's just the industry and the way things are sometimes,
yes.
unfortunately.
No, yeah, and of course that's just me being hypercritical of everything, but that's just how I am all the time. And of course, if you
That's
people
fine.
are listening, that you guys will already know that because I'm always just trying to play like a devil's advocate all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, given your experience in both Canadian and American competitions, are you finding there is a big difference between competitions here in Canada and the States, besides being bigger, better, perhaps better, more competitive? I don't know. Talk to us about that.
So I feel the difference between the two, and obviously this is my own personal opinion. Other features or other competition pageant girls can have like a difference of opinion. But I feel from what I have observed with the Alberta competitions, it's more about their performance and like they want those high energy, insane tricks and whatever else you can do. Um, Winnipeg, I feel, is a little bit more of a pageant kind of thing where it's like Rick wants to see the overall show. It's not just your pole, it's your dancing. What else can you do? What's your specialty? And then that kind of transgresses to translates, sorry, to the United States competitions, but I feel like the United States competitions are even more not based on tricks. They want that
Mm-hmm.
crowd engagement. They want you to have a storyline, kind of almost like when I did um, EDIs, I helped my girlfriend Miss Parker do her little show, and you might have seen some of the photos on Facebook. But it's like I'm dressed in a little schoolgirl skirt, and then she's a teacher, and she comes out and she's waving her finger, and then there's like the music matches. So it's like today we're gonna be talking about the body and the enemy. Can we say penis together? Something it's from some movie. And I'm running across the stage quietly, and I'm drawing a penis on the thing, and I go running away, and so she's the big naughty teacher comes and slaps my desk and is like, bad girl. And I'm like, so I find, and like the girl who just won overall ED Entertainer of the Year, Michelle Lynn, the show that she did in Alabama was just, it had me dying because she was a little prisoner, and her thing said prisoner 69. So of course the music's going, and the music's like wah, wah, a patient or a prisoner on the loose, and there's one of the stagehands dressed up as a cop, and she's trying to duck and dodge him, and he's trying to grab her, and you know Hayla Faye was doing this Bowser show. She comes
So
out and she's got
fun.
the Super Mario capsule and all the
Amazing.
flames, and so I feel that's just like the big difference is Canada, they want the performance and stuff, but they're more like perform for the judges.
Right.
Whereas in the United States, they kind of want you more
For the
performing
crowd.
overall for
Mm,
the crowd and the crowd engagement and stuff, because it's more about being an overall like entertainer kind of thing, not just can you do a little bit of like aerial hammock and spin around in a champagne bowl.
right. Right. It's a bit more than that. Yeah, crowd
Yeah.
engagement is so so important. And like I get this question a lot too, just in general, when people are asking me like, "Oh, like do you have to do like a lot of tricks to become a stripper and yada yada?" And I guess I would yeah, you're like, "No, no, 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 no." But like I guess the same question I am posing to you is, do you need to have a lot of tricks to become a feature and to compete? And the answer is, I guess, depends on which one you're doing.
So in my opinion, like there's always, from what I've noticed, is there's like there's two types of features in a way. And there's like the ones who can do crazy insane tricks and all of that. And then there's they hire a lot of the clubs do hire porn stars.
Yes, I do.
And some porn stars can do bigger shows and stuff like that, but a lot of the times it's not like the feature shows
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I don't feel you need to have a bunch of tricks in your roster to get to that point. However, it does help. What you more need is things to like set you aside and to make you known and different from like other people kind of
Totally.
thing. So I guess for me, I had remarketed myself as like the overall alternative bimbo next door. And then it's like when I pull out my split tongue from time to time, everyone's like, oh my God, you need to advertise with that more. And the United States, I find the United States has a lot more of it's more of a feature place. And that's why I'm trying to get to the United States is because there's the feature industry up in Canada is dying. Like there's not
Oh my
many
gosh,
actual
yes.
feature spots. Like we got Brandy's, which is a feature club.
Yeah.
We have the
And
Nude, which is in Ottawa, which is a feature
yes.
club. But those are the only two feature only clubs, to my knowledge, that we have
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Canada. Maybe
Hmm.
one of the ones in Edmonton Shade or something might be considered one. I'm
Right.
not too sure. Um, but you know, and there's only I want to say like maybe two, maybe three like actual legitimate feature spots where it's like this is your feature of the week. This is her time slots. You know, it's not like girls on a lineup and you're at a club that's considered a feature club. It's, you know, it's you, it's your time. Like when I'm at the Newton, that's me, that's my time. When I'm at Centerfolds, that's me, that's my time. But it's like, you know, when you're at Brandy's, you're with a bunch of other amazing performers too. So and then and so I think that's just like the little bit of the difference between the United States and up here in that regards is like there's not much of that here,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Whereas down in the States, they may not consider it as good as it used to be, but as a Canadian looking in, I'm like, damn, I would love to because they definitely do not get paid what we get paid out here.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And that's
Sometimes I look at
another
my
thing.
paychecks and I cry. I look at my paychecks and cry. So, you know,
Yes.
I would love to work Thursday, Friday, Saturday and do three shows a night and makes, you know, American dollars and only have to work those, and that would be lovely.
The
So,
goals. Goals.
yeah,
Another goal
gotta
that
have
we can
goals.
reach. No, seriously. And so important. And like akin to what you said earlier too, like you need to be able to stand out in a way. You need to have like I yeah, niche maybe, or like your own kind of like trick or something that you are known for. Like another shout out to would be Ella Hot Wheels, also fellow
Yeah.
Canadian babe, doing her own thing that has her own rollerblading show, which is just freaking amazing. But yeah, you really do have to set yourself apart because it is like, well, it is a competition. It's wildly competitive. That's what it's supposed to be. So yeah, you really need to work on perfecting your craft, which you have so done again. And it's just been amazing to hear your whole story and your journey and everything too. To kind of like stray away from the competing kind of conversation. Because I know that you're on the road like all the time. Like you're just like never home. You're always working, which again, the hustle is real and I admire that and I commend that. It's crazy. I'm just wondering, what do you do in your downtime, if you have any downtime, and like dating and stuff? Like talk to talk to us a little bit about that. Like what do you do?
Okay, so first and foremost, no matter where I'm at in the world, I will always be in therapy. Even if I don't have anything to talk to my therapist about, I am always in therapy. I actually have a 90-minute session tomorrow, so
Yay.
um so that's a huge thing for me is being in therapy, because I like to be able to take whatever shit I'm dealing with and not try the best I can not to bring it with me and just kind of throw it to my therapist so we can just kind of get rid of it. Usually when I'm home, honestly, I am so lazy. When I get home, I just want to be home. And sometimes I'll just sit in the quiet because I don't want to listen to music. I don't want to do anything. And it's like I can't travel with my dog anymore. She's
Mm.
old. So it's like when
Oh,
I am home, I spend so much time with my dog and I just like lay around. And then I just, for me, and it might seem corny to other people, but I know a lot of people will understand. I do whatever I can to honor my inner child. So, whatever that means.
what does that mean for
So
you?
like so, so for me, I guess first off, going and seeing the Barbie show, just kind of the Barbie movie, I was like, that still left me on such a high. I watched it recently on one of my streaming sites, and I was just like, oh, this is so good. But I guess for me, like lately, what I've been doing to like honor me is going to circus class. Because in
Yeah.
all honesty, it's like I have always um, wanted to be a dancer or do gymnastics, and I've always looked at the girls who were able to do hoop and trapeze, and I was like, man, that's so cool. But I was always like so scared. So I think for me lately, that's been one of like the biggest things. I'll make sure that I'm snacking on my favorite food or have like my
Yes.
favorite snacks. Simpsons is obvious. Simpsons is
There we
obviously
go.
my favorite show, so I'll sit there and I'll watch a lot of Simpsons. A lot of the reasons why I do the kind of 90s themed shows like Simpsons and Ninja Turtles and Austin Powers is to honor my inner child too, because it's like, what better place to have fun and do that than on stage? And when people see how happy you are and like how much fun you're having, they have fun.
Absolutely. I love that. And it's so nostalgic. It's so fun. Everyone knows what that is. So they just immediately like they just get it like that.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, definitely fun. And I just love that you're staying true to yourself. And I love what you said about honoring yourself because I don't know, in our industry, whether in the strip industry, whether in another facet of sex work, sometimes like this work can be really isolating and
You get lost and you
yeah.
get something like, and that was the one thing that I found, which was super hard for me, that helped during COVID. Was I think before COVID I was not only a hot mess and drinking all the time, but like I feel like I was lost and I didn't know who I was without Ciara. So it's like
Yeah.
I remember crying, the guy I'm crying to right now, back in 2020, and being like, I don't know who I am outside of dancing. And it's like I can't have my eyelashes. I'm not pretty. People aren't tipping me. I'm not being validated. Like what? So it's taken time to be able to, I guess metaphorically, like hang up the stripper shoes when I get home and put on the Birkenstocks, pretty much. And it's it's hard, and sometimes it actually, like, touching on what you asked about like relationships, it can be hard in relationships too. It's because you have to deal with a lot of stupid bullshit in
Yes.
in the clubs, and it's not always. I know a lot of people in strip talk and stuff try and make it seem like it's super
Oh my
glamorous,
gosh.
but
Ah,
like,
strip
god
talk.
man, like, like, trust me, I love the money, but it's like, that's why I got so much Botox in my face. And so when like men piss me off, my face just stays like this because I'm just like, you did not just say that. And so yeah, I've
Amazing.
really worked hard on like separating those two,
Hmm.
and making sure that I can be me outside of dancing. However, I am so notorious about anytime anyone asks me my name, I do not give them my government name. I just, I'll be like, if I know you, I know you, but for the most time, people are like, oh my God, hi, nice to meet you. What's your name? I'm like, Ciara.
Yeah.
They're like, order for Ciara, and I'm like, yep, that's me.
Sometimes
Like,
it's easier that way,
and
you
it's,
know?
yeah, it is, but being able to like turn that off, like I is good and it's valuable in relationships and stuff too, because it's like you don't want to go home and be super
Right.
annoyed stripper at home. It's like you want to come home, you want to defrag, and
Yeah.
you know,
So
I had to
so
deal
so
with that. I
important.
had to deal with that a little bit in Vegas because I was
Oh.
like, I was staying with the love of my life, and I was going to I was going to Expo, so I was like, time to put on stripper face, go out, go do stripper stuff, and then come home and be all like, okay, not a stripper anymore.
Yeah, yeah, totally, and just tuck that away. Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up too, because like sometimes it really is. It can be hard to separate the two when you're so into the work, but whatever work that it is that you are doing. But it's good to have that separation. I think it's actually really, really healthy to do that and to have your own life outside of sex work. And we've definitely talked about this on earlier episodes, but yeah, it's definitely a healthy approach for sure. But there are a couple questions that came in from the audience. I'm just going to pull up my phone because I forgot to type them out because I'm stupid. But this one came from Instagram. What's the best city to dance in or best club to work at?
So for me, the best club to work at across Canada, I would have to say, like if we're gonna be talking money and where I would have to say probably Brandy's in the five.
Mm-hmm,
But I would have to say my favorite city to dance in to make money would be Winnipeg. And I know people are like, ew, Winnipeg, but honestly, when you think about it, but fuck nowhere in the middle of Canada, it's cheap. People got money to spend. It's not always good, but more times than not, you know, I've had those extremely good nights on a more regular basis than the extremely good nights that you have here in Vancouver. And I just
That's
think
so
that's
true.
because I think that's because we live in a province and in a city that is so dramatically more expensive than a place like Winnipeg, kind of
Yes,
thing. Like what
totally.
I pay here, what I pay here, you can get like a rent a house in Winnipeg for. So a lot of dancers will go out to Winnipeg and they'll be like, "Oh my God, I get a lot of shows and I'm making a lot of money. I'm gonna move here." And then they're a local girl and then they don't get work anymore because they're local. So keep that in mind, girls.
Predecessors.
Don't move to Winnipeg.
FYI.
Don't have the Winnipeg rose-colored glasses. You can go there and work, just don't live there.
Just don't live there.
Don't
Have your
get booed
home
up there
base.
either. Yeah, and no boyfriends out there either, because
I guess the other question is very similar, but yeah, where is your favorite place to dance and why? I feel like we've already answered that. Unless you wanted something to add, unless there's a favorite place you'd like to dance in the States. Who knows?
I guess I haven't really in the United States. I haven't really experienced too many of the clubs per se. I think as of right now, my most favorite stage that I had danced on, my favorite US club that I have been to was the Pony Clubs in Alabama. The staff were amazing. The owner, Jerry Westland, sorry, the owner, Jerry Westland, is freaking amazing. He's a total sweetheart, and everyone that I know who dances at any of the Pony Bama clubs, just complete sweethearts and some of the nicest people, and they all got that southern charm that you adore. But I think like my favorite stage that I danced at so far would be Deja Vu in Tampa Bay. And that's just because they had a marble. And I found that this is a little bit more common because I noticed Hustlers had this stage. They had a marble granite stage. So it
Ooh,
was slightly
what?
slippery. Yeah,
Okay.
it was slightly
What?
slippery, which kind of sucked. But I was able to light up the poles on fire, but then also have my like circle of fire in between the two poles. So I would light up the two poles, and then they would go from one to the other, and then the whole stage is lit up, and I'm sitting there pretty much like Elmo in the fire. I'm like kind of thing. So I think that's so far my favorite. I will be dancing at Candy's next week for the competition. That stage looks amazing. They have three poles. They have a lyra. The club looks amazing. Apparently, they got hot tub room for hot tub VIPs, a
Oh my
cuddle room.
God.
I don't fucking know, but America's got some weird stuff. Like I walked into one of the VIP rooms, and it was like these little beds, not like beds, like with but they were so
So
the guys can kind of
cozy.
like lay down, and the girls
Yeah.
can. They're like it's more comfortable too, and you have more control when they're kind of laying there, and you can kind of dom them a bit. And I was like, you
I
know
love
what that
that.
is? That seems pretty cool. So I feel like Candies will kind of be upgraded to like my more favorite stage. But then I'm also doing a workshop in January in
Ooh,
Louisiana.
fun.
And that is with Lexi Lamore, and she's with ED Publications. That's how I met her, was through EDIs. And she has created something called the Showgirl Experience. So basically, she
Cool.
hosts workshops for 4 feature dancers, and then they'll have one of the top feature entertainers in the industry. I think we have, yet again, my girlfriend, Miss Parker. So I think
Amazing.
she's going to be our feature educator for that week. So I guess
That's so
basically
cool.
from what I got the gist of is I'm gonna have to ship down 3 shows down there, and we'll do a show that night at the club,
Hmm.
which also allows fire and aerials because
Hells
not all the
yeah.
clubs down in the States allow fire or aerials. So I'm
Right.
really excited about that. Um, you'll do a show. The next morning, you sit down, have coffee, lunch with her. She'll critique you, grade you. That night, you do a second show, different show, but you better have applied everything she told you. And then same thing, you get graded, and then on
Wow.
Saturday night you do a third and final show, and then when everyone has breakfast and leaves on the Sunday, you get like your final grade, you get a huge certificate. And Lexi is
Cool.
such a sweetheart, and I love her, so I'm super excited to do that. And yeah, that's what I meant by like this year is my year of like progressing. I know Janine Jericho's starting Elite Entertainment. Um,
Ooh.
for not Elite Entertainment. That's you can erase that one. That's Ashley or whatever. Cut that part.
Thank you for
She's
letting me know.
so Janine Jericho is doing her own little like feature school kind of thing, and she's gonna be hosting retreats um, for featuring. So I'll most likely end up rolling through and doing 1 or 2 of those. So yeah, this year is just kind of like my year of like really buckling down because
Yeah.
I want to win. I
Yeah,
definitely
totally.
want to
And I didn't even know
win.
they had stuff like that, like workshops and retreats like that to like
She
benefit your
just
shows.
yeah
That's amazing.
they all yeah they all just kind of started. Lexi is doing her. She just did her first one, so she's doing her second one. I think in October, and that one's going to be at in San Diego at the feature entertainer bar of the year for ED Publications, and that's at Expose. Um, I was going to go and do that one, but we were unsure on how the licensing would work because you need
Right.
a license to dance in San Diego.
Right.
So we were unsure on how that was going to go. So I just took the safe route, and I was like, okay, we'll do whatever the next one is. And I just found out it was at Michael's Men's Club, and I was just like,
Ah.
yes, because that also looks like a phenomenal. I love a good stage.
Yeah. Who doesn't, right? Who doesn't? I mean, it's really good to know this kind of stuff too. And like this may be stuff for another episode. We have talked about this in other episodes too. But yeah, but there like different states sometimes require different licensing. There's different protocols and stuff too. If you're listening, if you are a traveling dancer, you will have to do your research before going to clubs because they're not always going to let you in. But there are a lot of Facebook groups for that, secret Facebook groups that you can find that information out. So yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the more like not so secret ones is ran by a dancer named Olivia Pearl down in the States, and it's the Traveling Dancer Network. So I think that's one of the bigger Facebook groups that I am in that is more educational in a way. So it's like you could always go in there and you can ask whatever and everyone will chime in.
Yeah.
Kind of
and
thing.
People
So
are very vocal.
Good one to join.
Too. Yes. Let's not talk about that part. But anyways, can be very vocal in those groups, whether it's educational or just attacky. But anyways, what
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook in general is problematic. But Ciara, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. But before I let you go, where can everyone find you? Where can people see you dance? Where are you going to be this October?
Okay, so this October, starting October 2nd through 7th, I will be featuring up in Thunder Bay, Ontario. I will be at Centerfold Show Bar. I think that's 802 Memorial Ave. So, be there or be square. And then I will be heading off to Winnipeg for a month. So I will be bouncing between lipsticks and teasers. I predominantly work more on teasers than lipsticks, but my schedule is always posted once I'm out there. And then November, that schedule is tentative because Vancouver. Yeah, but I will be hopefully home here in Vancouver for the month of November. Yay, so I would ideally hope Brandy's and the 5.
And the 5, right? Yeah, totally. So if you are around, and I know there's a lot of you local clients and people that are listening, be sure to check out Ciara's shows because they are insane and they're so fun. And seriously, but like if you do go to the shows, bring them dollars, obviously. Do I have to say that? But yes, bring them dollars and tip her because she's amazing. Besides in-person stuff, can we find you online anywhere? Are you accessible anywhere as well?
Yeah, so my Instagrams it's Ciara, so Ciara, Hempseed, HEMPSEED. My backup has 3 E's instead of 2. I no longer have OnlyFans because I work too much. And the last thing I want to do when I come home is be sexy. Like, honestly. But during COVID, that was one thing. And it's like, but now it's like kudos to the girls who like can do it and like are killing it on it because I don't. When I go home, I don't want to talk to men.
Fair enough. Very, very fair.
Yeah.
And for everyone else listening at home, it's me. If you want to get in touch with me, you want to be in the show, you want to just give me feedback and stuff, critique me, I'm also open to that as well. You could reach me. I'm very active on Twitter. It's Stripped by Cia on Twitter. Follow my new Instagram. It's Stripped by Cia Podcast, which was my backup account, and then my real Instagram just got taken down a couple months ago, so trying to build that up. And if you want to be on the show, please pitch me. I do love it when people reach out to me, want to be on the show, through my forum, strippedbycia.com, or through Twitter. We can also talk through there, but do come with a plan of action. Come with a topic that is near and dear to your heart, not just I want to be on the show. That's really great, but I really do appreciate those who are doing the work to pitch themselves because there's a lot of topics out there. There's a lot of you that want to be on the show too, but I just want to make sure it's a good fit and also a very enjoyable listening experience for those who are listening at home. So yeah, please put yourself on the contact form, strippedbycia.com. And I think that's everywhere you can find me. Also, yes, again, if you want to support us, Patreon, it's patreon.com/strippedbycia. And it is new episodes every single Sunday, dropping at midnight Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, new episodes every single week, and we'll catch you on for another episode next week. Thanks, Ciara. It's good to chat with you finally.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're listening to Stripped by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia. Music by Ted D. Graphic design by Maria Bellandarama, and photography by Ian Dabb.